It is now my honor, my privilege to introduce the keynote speaker, our commencement speaker for today, Mr. Roland Martin. I think some of you already got to know him on the way in, as he was greeting our graduates as they were processing into the stadium. I think we're in for a real treat today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very privileged today to be able to hear from Mr. Roland Martin, host and managing editor of #RolandMartinUnfiltered, acclaimed journalists, influencers from multiple U.S. presidents to the top athletes and entertainers in Hollywood. He is currently the host and managing editor of the #RolandMartinUnfiltered, I'm here, Doc. The first daily online show in history focused on news and analysis of politics, entertainment, and sports and culture from an explicitly African American perspective. Since 2008, he has been a senior analyst for the Tom Joyner Morning Show, where his daily segment is heard on more than 100 stations, reaching 8 million people daily. Mr. Martin spent 6 years as a CNN contributor, appearing on numerous shows, earning accolades near and far for his no-holds-barred honesty, conviction, and perspective on various issues. In 2009, CNN awarded the Peabody Award for its outstanding 2008 election coverage, of which Mr. Martin was a member of the best political team on television. He is the author of 3 books, including the first, President Barack Obama's Road to the White House, as originally reported by Roland S. Martin. And he has contributed to several other books. He is a 4-time NAACP Image Award winner, including being named Best Host for the last 2 years. He has been named 4 times by Ebony magazine as one of the 150 most influential African Americans and has been named several times to the Root 100, its annual list of influential African Americans. When Jet magazine readers voted in 2012 for Who is King of the Hill, in terms of who they turn to on issues of African American concerns, Mr. Martin came out on top. He has always been named the country's #1 black pundit by News1.com and one of the top 50 political pundits by the Daily Telegraph in the United Kingdom. In his career, Mr. Martin has been showered with more than 30 awards for journalistic excellence, including being named the Journalist of the Year 2013 by the National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ, for his extensive focus on voter suppression and other issues of concern to African Americans during the 2012 elections. He was also awarded the NABJ President's Award for his work in multimedia platforms and was inducted into the Texas A&M University Journalism Hall of Honor. Martin is a life member of NABJ and Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc.
Oh, 6!
I paused for a minute for a reason. He is a proud graduate of Texas A&M, where he earned a Bachelor's of Science degree in journalism. He has been awarded honorary degree from Florida Memorial University, University of Maryland University College, Lemoyne-Owen College, Lane College, and South Carolina State University. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Roland Martin.
All right, how we doing? We good? All right, glad to see y'all here, especially all y'all late people. Especially some of the graduates. 2 sisters walking up. I'm like, y'all can't walk behind us. She said, can we skip? No, you're late. You got to wait. It is good to see all of you here. It's glad to be here. Glad to be back on this campus. Doc, thank you so very much for inviting me. It's always great. This is the 17th commencement I've done, 15th at an HBCU, and it's always a pleasure to do so. But this is not a funeral. I'm trying to understand. Look, folks being quiet, taking it easy. I appreciate all this sort of stuff. The band over there falling asleep. I had to wake a couple of them up. So I know y'all don't have a full band, but I didn't come to HBCU to hear some symphonic music. So before I speak, I need y'all to play something to wake this crowd up, because this is a damn graduation. This is a celebration. This is not a funeral. It's not a wake. This ain't the repast. So I need y'all at least 90 seconds. Come on, because y'all over there asleep.
Hey, 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 hey.
guests. Y'all can stand up too, class of 69. I mean, y'all can get up now. I see y'all. Come on. It's y'all graduation too. Hey, faculty, I need y'all to get the hell up too. Y'all too calm. All y'all family, y'all paid to get here. Y'all need to be standing up too. Now it's time to start a black graduation. Because if y'all continued, I was going to take my phone to the doggone DJ and like, you got to put on Before I Let Go or something. So now y'all got graduation back on campus. Again, I was in a symphonic band. That's cute, but that's fine. But next time I had a choir come out here and sing a doggone black gospel song. They let y'all off the hook only singing one verse and lift every voice and sing. Now brother can talk. But before I do this here, we are at a, let me pull this up. We are at a black school. Let me find this here. Is Aaliyah McCants here? She graduating. Aaliyah McCants. Aaliyah McCants, you graduating. Stand up. Stand up, Aaliyah McCants. Is Aaliyah here? Aaliyah, is that her? She standing up? All right, Aaliyah. Your aunt, Taylor Thomas, said she had to work. She couldn't be here. So she sent me a text. She said, you graduate with a degree in social work with honors. Y'all know black people will ask for a shout out. So tell your aunt, she's like, my niece graduated. All right, fine, I'll shout your niece out. So anybody else got my cell phone, don't be texting me. That's the last shout out we're going to do for the rest of the day. Last one, the class of 69, congratulations. My advice next time, don't have an Omega up here talking trash to me before I talk. Because I'm going to call that little youth group out. See, I told you I was going to talk about you. Again, glad to see all of you here. It is a great day. This tassel's getting on my nerves, so we're going to just stop that right now. Can you keep up? You trying to figure out, I don't know how we invited this crazy black man. He lost his mind. I don't know what he doing. He need to go ahead and hurry with this doggone speech so we can hand his degrees out. You keeping up. All right, just checking. All right, let's get this thing started. Anytime you are speaking in front of this many black people, you have to tag your text. Now, the person next to you has no idea what tag your text means. That must mean they're one of these new generation Negroes who don't go to church. So hit them on the elbow and say, tag your text means, this is the title of what he's about to talk about. So just in case a lot of y'all forget this day, and trust me, I have no idea who spoke at my graduation. I don't know who the person was, what they said, but I guarantee you, y'all ain't gonna forget me. Title of this is called, It's Your Time Now. So turn to the person to your left and say, it's your time now. All right, turn to your right, the other right. All right, turn to the person behind you and say, and point to him, it's your time now. Now I want you to talk to yourself, say it, me, it's your time now. A few weeks ago, I called Bernard Shaw, who is the anchor emeritus for CNN. And I wanted to get Bernard Shaw's permission to post a video or some remarks that he made in 2007 when he received the Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Association of Black Journalists. And I wanted him to do that because I'm on the board of directors for the third time of the National Association of Black Journalists, and we called out CNN for having no black executive producers, no black vice presidents, no black senior vice presidents, no black executive vice presidents, no black direct reports to their CEO, Jeff Zucker. And he had made some remarks where he checked white men by saying, "Your time is almost up," when he accepted his speech. And when I called him, Bernard said, "Roland, every generation of black people, every generation has had to fight for what was right and to create change. It's your time now." If you think about all the folks who made this day possible, if you think about the folks who created this institution, the folks who have come through here, it was all done for this day. It was all done for May 17, 2019, the 65th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education. It was all done to ensure that when you look at this class of African Americans, but also you have folks of Middle Eastern descent, folks here who are white, Latino, or who are Asian, it was all about ensuring that you had a shot at a future that they did not have. In fact, there are some people who are in the stands today who are here to celebrate you, who wish there was a day when they could have sat on a field in a cap and gown and be able to move the tassel, but because of circumstances and finances, they were unable to do so. But they said, but one thing is clear, you will walk across that stage, you will get that degree, no matter what it costs. And I say that because there are a whole lot of us who somehow think that we got here all by ourselves, when in reality there were folks who we don't even know, who go back multiple generations, who were doing what was necessary to ensure this day would be possible. Which means that every single one of us, no matter what our background is, no matter where we're from, we owe it to the next generation and the following generation and the following generation to ensure that 30 and 40, 50 years from now, you're able to come back and celebrate your 50th graduation, and the institution is still here, still thriving, still educating, which means you cannot walk off this campus today for the last time and say Bowie State, because you owe this university, you owe this state something more than just lip service. The next time folks here should not see you at homecoming celebrating football but not cutting a check to pay for academics. Because when we look at across this country, when we see HBCUs, the average giving of alumni is 5%. That is an abomination, because when you had freed slaves who put pennies and nickels together to ensure this day will come, I dare say this generation deserves to give them more than that. And it's our job to ensure that this institution remains strong, which also means I fully expect every single graduate of this class to tell Governor Larry Hogan and the state of Maryland that a $100 million settlement for what this state has done to HBCUs is grossly unacceptable. It is wrong. And what they owe HBCUs in this state, far more than that. And I say not 100 million, but I say at least 1 billion for what has been done. And this school should not be spending precious resources on lawyers fighting for equity and funding. It is wrong, and it's time for Maryland, a blue state, to do right by its HBCUs. See, it's your time now to step up and assume your rightful place in leadership. Because what you do today affects what happens 24 years from now when America becomes a nation that is majority people of color. And the reason you are seeing what is happening in this country now with all these crazy folks with their red hats is because they are afraid of the future. In fact, they don't want to see a class that looks like this, where you have folks who are black and who are white and who are Muslim and who are Latino and who are Asian coming together, because there is fear of people of color taking leadership. 24 years from now, you will be in your mid-40s, and you will be in corporations, and you will be in academia, and you will be in all these positions, and you will be the ones who will be in charge. And it's important for you to understand that you have been positioned at the right time in history for this moment. You're graduating in 2019, the year of return. It was 400 years ago when 20-odd Africans arrived in Virginia in 1619. And over this period, what we saw was 243 years of slavery. We saw the battle for the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendment, the Reconstruction Amendments. We saw, of course, the Great Compromise of 1877, which then ushered in Jim Crow, 92 years of slavery without shackles. The reality is, when you look at Emmett Till being killed August 28th, the almost called Montgomery bus boycott beginning December 1st, 1955, you begin to see what took place over the course of 13 years where Jim Crow was brought to his knees. It was because there were young people, there were HBCU students who left college campuses who were willing to put their lives on the line to ensure that was freedom for their children's children. Many of them never saw the day. Many of them went to jails in Mississippi and Alabama. Some of them were beaten to a pulp. There was one story of one sister who was thrown into a prison with men, and she was savagely beaten, and when they took her out, her face was swollen, she was bleeding, and the only thing she could utter was one word: freedom. That generation understood that it was their time. That generation understood that their mothers and fathers and grandfathers had done all they can, and they understood that they could not stand pat and allow America to be the same country it was then. They understood that they had to step up and not make it about themselves. This is not about a new pair of Louboutins. It's not about what car you drive, a house you have. It's about whether or not you create a different world for your children's children. So what you do from this day forward is about lineage. It's about history. You can change your bloodlines based upon what you're about to do walking across this stage with that degree, which means that your children's children will think back and reflect, thank God I had a grandmother and a grandfather who had the audacity to think big and was willing to fight for what's right. See, I know some of you are sitting here and you're saying, well, that's great, but I don't really think I'm going to deal with all of that. Well, I can show you a whole line of people who thought that they were not going to have to be fighting battles in 2019 that folks were fighting in 1969 and fighting in 1959. But the reality is, you can't show me the history of black folks in America where fight did not precede anything that we had to do. It was Frederick Douglass who said, power concedes nothing without a demand, never has and never will, which means that we came out the womb fighting. We're going to be fighting while we're here, and we're going to be fighting when we go to our graves, because that is our story. And see, I ain't got a problem with that, because see, some folk don't want to fight some people. And so you got to make a decision right now whether you're going to be one of those folks who will stand pat and allow others to fight the battles for you, or whether you're going to get in this game and say, no, it's now my time to fight this thing. And I know there's somebody saying right now, well, yeah, but Roland, but everybody in the graduating class, they not black. But see, if you go to Montgomery and you go down the highway, there's a memorial to Viola Liuzzo, white woman from Michigan who left Michigan to help register black folks in Selma. When they had the Selma to Montgomery march, and then when it was over, she was driving back to Selma from Montgomery. 3 Klansmen drove up beside her in the truck, fired a shotgun, blew her head off, and they thought they killed the brother who was sitting next to her. And I had a chance to meet him, and I was in Selma this year, who lived to tell the story. That was a white woman in Michigan who did not have to go to Selma to register a single black person, but she said, if we want to make this nation a more perfect union, I cannot be a comfortable white woman in Michigan. I got to be able to put something in the game. You look at the HBCUs all across this state and all across this country, you are seeing an increasing number of students who are Muslim coming from other countries being educated at Bowie State and Morgan State and Texas Southern University. And when you see a nation that attacks individuals because of their faith, knowing full well that the folks in this nation who have done more harm in the past decade have been white, male, domestic terrorists who call themselves Christian, you cannot stand silently by, because that was a time when they denigrated black folks and called us terrorists. So don't you dare allow somebody to label all Muslims terrorists. You must be willing to stand up and fight for the very folks who are also willing to fight for you. It is your time now. Even though it's 2019, even though we have the appearance of equality, even though you have a sister who is the president of your university, you cannot be silent, men, when black women and other women are getting paid far less than other men and white men. You cannot stand silent when we see injustice. We can't stand silent when we see men disrespecting women in the workplace. It is your time now to say we will break generational curses and not be like those who came before us. The challenge for every generation is to say, how are we going to be a difference maker when it comes to the next generation and the next generation to ensure there is going to be change, which means you must accept the mantle of responsibility to be a change agent. See, I understood it wasn't going to be popular when I chose to go after folks in media who refused to hire black folks in management. But I said I was not going to wait till I was 70 and 80 and accept the Lifetime Achievement Award or write it in a book to talk about what I went through. I said, no, when we are in the middle of the battle, I'm going to call some folks out. You know what? I understand. There are some people in media, and they made it clear, no, we're not going to put him on our network because, see, he's one of those. And, yeah, you're right. I'm one of those. Because, see, I called out CNN while I was working there. I call them out when I'm not working there, because I cannot stand silently by as somebody who went to a school of communications when I was in high school, chose to do this at the age of 14, knowing full well that if I don't use the power of my voice today at the age of 50, then that I'm going to make it easy for somebody coming behind me who to be an executive producer or a VP or an EP or a CEO, because the day of white men running America is over. It is your time now to use your power and your voice to change this country for the better. The only way we've been able to change anything in America is when we have been able to look folks in the eye and say, we are willing to stand up to you, to fight. And then if you think we're going to run away, no, we're going to go take a break, take a rest, and come back and get on this front line. And I know some of y'all are saying, but I got to focus, really on my job. I got to focus because I got this degree. Well, you know what? The mother of Carolyn Hunter said the exact same thing in 1970. Carolyn Hunter was a 26-year-old sister, graduated, chemistry degree. She went to work for Polaroid. And while working for Polaroid, there was a guy named Ken Williams who walked into the lobby of Polaroid one day, and he saw these things called passbooks in the lobby. And he looked at it and he said, wait a minute, we're selling those things in South Africa. As he began to investigate, if you were black South African, you had to walk around with your papers. And it was a passbook that Polaroid created. Ken Williams began to say, well, no, I can't work at a company that is supporting the apartheid regime in South Africa. And then Ken began to protest, and Carolyn Hunter, who worked there, she then began joining him, and the Polaroid Revolutionary Workers was created. I see some of y'all looking at me right now saying, I ain't never heard of Ken Williams or Carolyn Hunter or the Polaroid Revolutionary Workers, but you have heard of the divestment movement that took place in apartheid. That did not start in the 1980s. It did not start on the campus of Harvard. It did not start with Fortune 500 companies. It started at Polaroid when two black folks said Polaroid should not be used selling these passbooks to the racist regime in South Africa, and they put it on the line. Were fired from Polaroid, were ostracized. The reason the Congressional Black Caucus stood up over the issue of apartheid because it was Ken Williams and Carolyn Hunter who met with them in D.C. When Nelson Mandela died, I interviewed Ron Dellums, the late Ron Dellums. He told me the story. They were not even aware of that. And the divestment of movement and apartheid started because Ken Williams and Carolyn Hunter chose to lead a revolution that took place over a period of 20 years. And that's how the divestment movement in South Africa took place. And that's how apartheid was brought to its knees, because a 26-year-old recent college graduate, her mama told her, baby, you just graduated, you got you a good job, you need to stay quiet and keep working. And she said, mama, I can't work at a company that's oppressing my people around the globe. And she put that thing on the line. And the reason I even heard about the story was when I was on Martha's Vineyard, had a book signing, and I was actually staying at somebody's house there. And then it was a few months later, I'm in New York at 2 o'clock in the morning watching a documentary, and I'm looking at it going, is that the black woman's house I was staying at on Martha's Vineyard? Text her daughter, and she says, yes, that is my mama, because I knew her as Carolyn Williams, but she was Carolyn Hunter, because what I didn't realize, she later married Ken Williams and became Carolyn Williams, but it was a 26-year-old sister who put it on the line. It was Dr. King, who was 26 years old when they began the Montgomery Improvement Association and the boycotts. When you talk about John Lewis and Marion Barry, when you talk about all of those individuals, when you talk about Diane Nash, when you talk about the folks who put online, they were 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25. They could have easily graduated. They could have easily sat still, could have easily gotten them some nice, good jobs and focused on making some money. But they said, no, we have to do something to change America. And I say to the class of 2019, you must accept the same challenge and decide what is going to be your fight in 2019. Who are you going to challenge? Who are you going to confront? Who are you going to say enough is enough? And I say you must be willing to fight and put it on the line, because it will not be easy. It will not be simple. It will not be something that folks will take lightly. You must look folks in the eye and say, do understand, I went to Bowie State. I struggled. I fought through. You are facing somebody who is used to fight, who is used to struggle. And if you think I'm going to give up, you got another thing coming. And if then they look at you and say, well, then we going to fight you harder. You say, you can fight me as hard as you want to, but I'm not going away. I will not look down, because it's my time now. And like my frat brother Vertner Woodson Tandy said, we will fight until hell freezes over, and then we will fight on the ice.
Wow. That was amazing. And thank you, Mr. Martin, for that impactful, inspiring speech to our graduating class of 2019. Did you hear that? 2019. I know they heard you. And remember, we are the Bulldogs. And Bulldogs, they know how to get it done. And they heard you loud and clear. Thank you for that charge. Thank you for those inspiring remarks. You have your message, graduating class. Take it with you on your journey ahead. Remember this commencement speaker. I have no doubt you're going to remember this commencement speaker. Please give Mr. Martin another round of applause. On behalf of Bowie State University, we have a small token of our appreciation for our commencement speaker, Mr. Roland Martin, for being here today, for inspiring the 2019 graduating class. Mr. Martin, if you would please join me at the podium. From our 2019 graduating class and all of Bowie State University, we bestow upon you this plaque in memory of this day. Please keep coming back. Welcome back to campus, and we look forward to seeing you a lot more. We want to see you out at homecomings, and whenever you so choose, you are always welcome at BSU. BSU? BSU!
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.